Hello, everybody. Welcome to It's Time to Talk. My name is Moni Love, and I am super excited to do this live today. It's a perfect time to do it because it is Mental Health Awareness Month, and I'm just excited to have this conversation. It's a definitely needed conversation, especially with women and men in the brown and black community. Um, I'm just super excited. I feel like I'm going to keep saying that throughout the live. We have some amazing speakers that's going to come on, and we're just going to have this real conversation and just end the stigma of mental health. So I'm going to bring on the ladies. First, we have my good sis, Amber.
Uh,
Hey, Amber.
hey everybody.
How you
What's going
doing? How
on?
you feeling?
Fine.
Okay. And then we're going to bring on the lady warrior herself. Let's go, Bree. Woo,
Hey,
woo, woo, woo. It is an honor to have you
please
here
don't start that stuff.
on the live. Please say, say hi to the people.
Hey, y'all. Hey, everybody.
And then we're going to bring on my best friend, A Ty.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Hey.
Hey, Ty.
Hey, y'all.
All right. So, as I just stated, we're just going to have a real conversation. And at the end, the ladies can kind of do more to introduce themselves, or if they want to, drop how you can connect to them and stuff at the end, that'll be fine. So, today's topic is anxiety and depression, and it dropped on my heart pretty much for a while for me to speak about it. But I think the first time I actually put it out publicly that I battled with depression was during the last time I was expediting, and I'm like, God, thought about me when he got up, and I just feel like the main thing while I was battling depression was the loneliness and the feeling like it's just you and only you is going through it, or like there's no help, or if it is, you don't feel comfortable receiving that help. So I think this conversation is needed, and hopefully it bless somebody, and hopefully it helps somebody, get what they need, or encourage them to, know that it's not only them. So we just want to start off with depression. So we're just going to start off with depression. I'm going to let Amber speak about depression and if she experienced anything, or just how her experience was.
Oh, so you just coming straight for it. Okay.
Yes, period.
Um, I did better with it though. I think especially not really elementary school, but especially a lot in high school and kind of college. I dealt with it and didn't really know what it was at first.
Mm-hmm.
I just felt like sad all the time. Or it would like just be periods where I just wouldn't even know why I was sad. People were like, "What's wrong with you?" And they think I'm lying when I'm telling them nothing, because in my mind it would really be nothing. But clearly it was something. I just didn't know how to express or explain how I felt. I think depression, what it does a lot is it kind of eliminates you from doing all the things that you really like. So you start I just didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to do none of the stuff that I would normally do. My span and being around people was just like little to none. Like I could be around people for about 5 seconds before I was ready to go home. And I really felt that you're alone. Like I could have 20 friends, 15. If it didn't matter how many people were surrounded by me or telling me that they were there, it was just like, nah, it's me, myself, and I. Nobody can understand how I feel. Nobody can, think the same thoughts as me. So I think that was like a really lonely space, even with people around. I think that that's what makes depression so hard. It's like you see all these people, but you still feel like you're by yourself. And it took me to go to therapy to really start dealing with that. To be quite honest, I couldn't try to deal with it on my own. I tried, but it really didn't work. I really couldn't explain it to people. It was hard to talk to, to your parents and stuff like that, because, I feel like growing up, is like, if you young, what do you have to be upset about? What do you have to be mad about? So hearing that over and over and over again when you young, and you little, and then as you get older, you keep that same mentality. Like, I don't have no reason to be sad. I don't have no reason to be, upset or depressed or anything like that. So you just hold everything in. And that was like years and years of holding stuff in until you get to the point where it's like, I'm older now. I can't do that no more. You got to find a way to kind of release all that, or you start impacting and affecting other people other than yourself because you haven't dealt with that for so long.
Yes, I totally agree with that. And I think going to your parents also, for me, I know mental health wasn't even discussed. And if it was the stigma that you're crazy, or they need to go see a doctor, they need to be taking medicine, or they need this, they need that. So like that was like the only type of mental health that I heard of, like somebody just walking down the street crazy, talking to themselves, or something like that. Whereas though it wasn't like, if you have a broken heart, if you're hurting inside, you need to see someone. And I think the stigma, it needs to end, because if you broke your leg or you broke a broken bone, you're going to go see a doctor. So it's like, why don't you do that if your heart's broken, if you're in pain, if you know that you're not acting your normal self? Why not go see someone who specializes in that, to get it done? And I feel like for me, it was lack of knowledge for generations. So I don't even think my mom could recognize that I was depressed. Honestly, she might have been depressed and just was like something. For Black women, I know kind of is like, we are made to endure. You got to go through this. You got to go through that, and just keep going, keep going, keep going. And it's not really that time where you kind of breathe. Like, I never saw my mom like break down or breathe or talk to anyone about anything. Like, she would talk about stuff, but it wouldn't be, like anything therapeutic. I didn't have that example. And she definitely showed signs of her depression. And I think it kind of trickled over. So I think that when you sharing that was good. I'm gonna let Bria answer last, but Todd, go ahead and share, a little bit.
All right. So for me, the first time I kind of acknowledged that I was depressed, or I said this, I was depressed at this moment, was middle school year, but really 7th grade. Like, and anybody who's really, really close to me knows that my middle school years was not good at all. I was isolated. I was alone. I was teased. I was mocked. Just everything. And I truly, truly did not have any friends, at all. And I really mean at all. Like, I didn't have any friends. Nobody I took with me after that moment either. But so for me, that was a very lonely time. I can remember just going inside my room and just sleeping and just not wanting to be around anybody, but not being able to talk to anybody because I didn't really have that outlet. Like, I was kind of always the person that people came to. So I didn't have the outlet to talk to anybody. My outlet was my book. My outlet was my journal. Like, my outlet was me walking around the block listening to music. My outlet was me, singing a song or something, but I couldn't talk to anybody. So from that point on, I feel like I was going in a cycle. And so after that, I thought that it was kind of like, oh, this is life. We don't really attach certain things to certain things. So it's like, oh, you go up, you go down, that's life. Like, that's what we're taught. But it took me probably at this point, like several years ago, but I'm like, whoa, like, I don't think it's just life up and down. I feel like it's a little bit more than that, because I'll have super duper highs and then I'll have super duper lows, and it the cycle will be so constant. And it took me a minute to be like, whoa, like I don't think I was just, because I used to go back to 7th grade, like that's when I was depressed, because that's the first time that I actually felt like that. But I was like, I think I'm battling depression just in general, like period. And again, being that person that people came to, like I have siblings that battle depression. I have an older sister who battles deep depression clinically, a little sister who battles depression, a brother that deals with anger. And so when you in an environment and you don't see yourself in those ways, you think, oh, I can't have that because I don't act like that. Like, I don't burst out like that. I don't do this. I don't do that. So I think Amber said it, like, you didn't even realize that that's what it was. But Yeah, I think it's definitely a process to get nowhere. I think it starts with like awareness, actually knowing it, that that's what you're going through, and then just kind of, I don't know, like finding somebody to really, really talk to. Like when I did go to high school, I met Moni, and then and then my second high school, I met Kevin, and those people I really can say like I was able to start to like open up a little bit, because like I said, I wasn't that person that opened up. I was the person who was like a human diary to everybody, like to my closest friends, you know what I'm saying? So like once you kind of get to that point where you can kind of unleash what you and be and have somebody be what you was to somebody else, I think that really helps.
Yeah, I just want to piggyback off of that. I feel like when you're going through something and you're that person that carries it for you, I mean, you carry it for other people, you kind of feel like you got to be this strong person. And for me, I was like 11, 12, 13, giving advice to adults. And that made my mind think, oh, I'm the one who got to have the answers for everybody else. And it left me with the void of who's going to help me. And when me and Ty became friends and Lex too, it was hard because I already put up a wall when it came to people to let people in. But slowly but surely, it started to come down. I started to let them in, slowly, and started to feel safe. Like they allowed me to feel safe with talking about certain things and, pouring out and actually getting some type of feedback back, growing up, being a teenager, going through a lot and not really having a great relationship with your mom. So it's kind of like, who's my outlet? So I definitely get that part, that aspect of it, Ty, where like you're looking for a safe place because you kind of been that safe place for everybody, and it's like, where you at? Like, I need to pour out too, and I need to be poured into. So thank you for sharing. So we're gonna have a lady warrior pop up.
Y'all, y'all gotta chill. I struggled with functional depression, and functional depression is basically like it doesn't look like anything that normal depression would look like, if that makes sense. So it doesn't look sad. It doesn't look mopey or people asking me what's wrong. I was literally able to go about life, but once I got by myself, I was not okay. And so for me, this has been my thing for all throughout high school. All throughout high school, even up until I got to, I want to say, my sophomore year of college. I literally was going and going and going, knowing that I wasn't okay, but I was able to hide it. I was able to function without others noticing that something was wrong with me. And once I realized, like, okay, if I don't get the help that I need, I'm going to explode while I'm functioning. And I'm not going to be able to care for anybody or, continue on in my own progress with life or, different leadership roles in school, out of school, if I'm not okay on the inside. And so for me, I had to be okay with telling someone that I no longer wanted to hide what was going on with me. And once I realized that me coming out of my shell with sharing that something is wrong, and I started to explain to people certain things that were wrong, they'll be like, oh, wow, now I see it. So it was like, if I would have never opened my mouth, they would have never saw it. It's kind of one of those things where for me, closed mouths don't get fed. And for me, I had to make up in my mind that I no longer wanted to suffer by myself. And when it comes to that, it took a lot. Like, it took a lot for me to actually talk to somebody. It took a lot for me to actually be like, you know what, Mom, I need to go see someone. But as far as like mental health and knowing of depression, I always knew about it. And for me, like, I just use outlets. Like, I used to dance a lot, so that was a way that I was able to unfortunately live with functional depression because I use it as an outlet, and still nobody to see what was going on with me. And so, yeah, that's really been that was my story with it. And even sometimes now, if you're not careful, it'll creep up. Like I'll be like, hold on, no,
Yes.
Sure.
hold up,
Yeah.
wait. I'm doing a little too much, and I'm starting to feel like. And so, you know, I have to realize that I do have people who I can reach out to, even when I feel like it, I do. And so when those moments come where I find myself reverting back, or, you know, it trying to overtake me, I have to realize, like, okay, I got all these sisters, I got all these brothers. Somebody can help me in this moment.
Yes.
And this honestly takes that courage, like I said before, to be okay with coming out of hiding and realizing that you don't have to be strong all the time. And so that's been my experience with functional depression.
And I'm heavy on that. What am I didn't forgot what I was about to say. And I was so hyped. What was I about to say?
Can I piggyback while you wait? Can I piggyback off something that she said?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just I think one part that you said that I really liked was the fact that recognizing that it's going to pop up again. It's not something that you just necessarily just get rid of, and it's like, okay, I'm never going to be depressed again. Or it's never going to try to pop up and try to, like it's going to pop up. Like you just now are aware of the triggers that may try to get you to that point again. So I'm never going to let myself get so down that I can't get back up. But if I recognize it, like, hold up, I woke up, this feeling ain't right, it's feeling heavy, and just like it's important that you really understand that it can pop up, it will come back, it'll try to sneak up on you, but you just have to be aware and recognize the triggers that make you get that way. Especially like for me, sometimes it's if I have too much going on and I'm not organized and I just got everything flying around everywhere, that's a trigger for me, and I'll immediately start feeling like, oh, I can't keep nothing together, I can't hold nothing together, so it's like recognizing those small things that you have to do to help keep you out of that hole that you could get into is definitely important when it comes to that. So I like that you said that when it pops up, remind yourself that you have people, remind yourself, just the little things, even questioning yourself, okay, what am I not doing that's getting me here to this point to where I can make sure that I get myself back on track in some type of way, or ask for help.
Yeah. I agree with. Go ahead, Mo. You remember?
No, I don't remember. I was
gonna say I agree with both of Zabria and Amber. Like just knowing what those triggers are, and then for me, something that I like to do is like whether it's a mental note or whether I physically write it down in my notes and my phone or on paper. Like just like I think people call them like positive affirmations, but just like certain things to where as though when your mind is telling you something different than what like go to that, like, no, I know this is not right, I know I have a person I could talk to. So kind of hold yourself accountable and challenge yourself to be like, no, to fight it, basically, like we're not doing this. Because if you don't attack it head on, like you can slowly but surely get back into that cycle, and then you're like, man, how I get here? And it's like because you didn't attack it when you saw the signs. So when you know the signs, you do better. And I'll say this too, like our pastor night teachers, go with what you know versus over what you feel. So when you feel in a certain type of way and you know for a fact that is not the truth, go with what you know. Like don't accept those feelings.
Yeah.
Amen to that. I don't know what's going on with my thoughts tonight. But what was I about to say? We do have 2 questions in the chat, so I'll just read that. How do you identify your triggers when you don't really know? And that's from our sister Bree.
Anyone can answer?
Yeah, anyone.
I would say your triggers, but I feel like your triggers. Anything that makes you not be in character of your normal self is a trigger. And the choice comes with knowing and not knowing is whether or not you choose to ignore it or acknowledge it. But when it comes to triggers, you know what makes you feel uncomfortable. And that's what a trigger is. It's something that makes you uncomfortable with your normal self. And so you do know, not just you per se, but people in general, you know your triggers by what is going on around you and how it's making you feel. But like I said before, it's up to you to acknowledge that this is not making me feel good. I'm feeling like not myself. So something is going on. Something around me is happening. So now I got to evaluate what's around me, what is happening around me. And then that's how you know you're triggered. But ultimately, you know when you're not feeling like you.
And I want to say, when you're starting to feel depression overtake you, what is going on in your environment?
Right.
What is happening in that moment? And then identify what it is, and then think back to all the moments where you felt depressed before. And that will be your trigger, what's constantly sending you back to that place of being overwhelmed, feeling alone, feeling by yourself, feeling like you don't have anyone to talk to. And it's coming back to me what I was going to say when Bria said, like, you got people around you that, you can go to and talk to. And I think for me, because I had walls up with people and like lack of trust, and not even anything that they did, but just my mind thinking of all the negative stuff that could possibly happen, talking to them versus all the good that can come from it, kept me in a place of, woe is me. I don't have nobody, and praying to God, like, send somebody, and he didn't send multiple people. And I'm like, nope. And now I'm blaming God for me feeling sinking in something. And he like, girl, like, I helped you multiple
like,
times.
well,
You're refusing to do that help. You're
Literally,
you drowning. I done sent the boat. I sent the paddles. I sent everything.
And you still want to stay in the
over here talking about you still dying. No, that's your choice. You're choosing not to receive the help. And I think that automatically made me deal with me. Like, what's up? Why don't I trust people? And when I recognized that it had nothing to do with them, but all to do with me, I had work to do. Because what's up? Like, you have all these resources around you. And Pastor asked a question like, did your church, help you battle, depression and anxiety? And we have a ton of resources. There's many a time where Stacia didn't text me, or me and her that had conversations, her really caring about my well-being, and Lady Night as well, and Pastor. So it's like, we have resources, but you got to utilize them. And I think a lot of times we go into a shell. We just think like we are comfortable feeling like, oh, woe is me, I can't talk to nobody, versus being uncomfortable and getting help.
Right. And I definitely want to sorry.
Go ahead, Amber.
I definitely want to about that comfortability aspect. I think when you in chaos for so long, it becomes your norm. And so you live like that for so long, you're used to that. So you don't even know what you look like not being that way. So accepting the help, I think sometimes has a lot to do with like just that fear, or sometimes even being prideful and not even recognizing that that's what it is. Like, and you just, it's normal, it's comfortable now for me to live like this because I'm aware of what this is. For me to actually go and ask somebody for help and get help from that, now I have to deal with it and kind of be like recognize and talk about all of these things that I don't really want to talk about. I want to keep it deep down under because I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to bring it up. And it's just, this is normal for me. And once it becomes normal, then you become silent. And I think that that's when it really can get serious, because now you want to stay in that normal because it's easier than to actually deal with it. And so I think that was a good point that you made about that. Like, definitely have to get uncomfortable in order to get to a good place. Like, nothing we do, if you want to build something, if you want to build muscle, if you want to get smarter, get stronger, anything that you want to do, you always have to be uncomfortable in order to do it. So just even coming out of depression, you have to be uncomfortable in order to do that. And you have to be bold enough to want to be uncomfortable with that. And I think that just takes admitting, like, I'm scared. Like, I don't even know what I would look like not being this way, not crying at night. Like, I don't even know what that would feel like for me, or if that's even possible. So I think that, I like that you brought that up. I just wanted to piggyback off that.
And I think that the comfortability of it is a lie that we believe, because really we're already uncomfortable in the way we're feeling. We're just we're more okay with being uncomfortable in this than walk into something I don't know,
Exactly.
something new to me, something that's different, something that's scary, something I got to be vulnerable in, something I got to open up in. So I'd rather not do that because I hate that. So I'm gonna be comfortable in my mess and feel like I'm about to die, like,
Right.
or I want to die, God forbid, you know. But those feelings kind of overtake us in those moments. Like the devil know how to play with your mind when you weak and when you're not doing the things that you're supposed to do for God, you know, and being in line and following the word.
Sure.
Did anybody else have anything to piggyback off of?
You mentioned something about the church, but I missed it. It was a question.
Oh, Pastor asked, did your church, let me find it. Has your church supported you in dealing with depression and anxiety?
For me, no, because they didn't know. And it goes back to, like I said before, when you don't tell anyone, they can't necessarily help you.
Right.
But I just feel like being in the church and raised in the church, seeing that wasn't the thing up now, where, you know, people are more verbal within the church about mental health situations and depression, anxiety. For me, I had to get outside help first, because there were some things that within the church actually intensified some of my anxieties. So it took for me to step away to get the practical help and then coming back and getting the spiritual help.
Do you think because most of the church was your family, it was harder to ask for help? Or do you feel like it didn't really play a part?
Yes and no. No, because I'm my own person. And so, you know, they always be like, you know, they're open to me coming and talking to them, but I'm my own person. So if I'm not necessarily one who wants to talk, then I won't. And then on the flip side of that is my family, y'all know we roll with the punches. You know, okay, you gotta do that. Go ahead, come back, get yourself together, yada yada yada. So it's like a win and a lose, but for the most part, just sticking to me because I am my own person, I had to do it that.
Okay. Did anybody else want to piggyback off of it?
I'll just say real shortly, the church helped as much as I allowed them to. Like, and I think it goes back to what you're saying as far as like opening up and actually saying that, hey, like I feel this way, and like, but they definitely help with resources as far as like if you are struggling with this, or you know, you knew people that you could go to deal with it. But it took me until I want to say last year to actually step out to try to actually seek counseling, like professional counsel. Well, not seek it, but like actually go through with it and started professional counseling. But yeah, that's all I had to say about the church.
And I just want to praise God that we have a leader that if he sees a need in the house, he'll do his best to get us help. Even if he can't do it himself, he'll bring someone in or resources or whatever to try to help the people of God and not just, you know, give them God. Because that's enough. However, therapy and other things, other resources is important too. And he sees that. So we do praise God for Pastor Knight.
Well, that's sure. I mean, I know I could say when I first joined, all the way up to now, I see the progression. I feel like, you know, having leaders that are aware of, okay, this is what the people that I'm leading, this is what they're dealing with. And as time progressed, it was like, okay, more and more you started having more things where it was like, okay, talking about mental health, talking about depression, talking about anxiety, like how to just manage your everyday life. And I think in having a leader that's aware like that, then the church can help because they're aware and they're seeing, you know, what's going on with the people, what are they dealing with. And now I can bring this to the forefront so that, you know, it's okay to feel like that, you know, because I think also the other part of being depressed or like having anxiety or anything like that, especially when it comes to church, is comparison. So you're seeing certain people being certain ways. If I don't look like that, if I don't talk like that, if I can't say scripture like that, now that's building up more anxiety. Now I feel depressed because I'm not like that, or I don't look like that. So, if you're already dealing with it outside in the world, and then you're coming into church and you're not opening up, or you're not saying anything, but you're seeing all these people, and if they look like they're happy because we're not really talking about it as a church, now I'm just feeling it within myself even more, because now I'm comparing myself to everybody else. So I think that, that's definitely one thing that I can say, that I've seen the progression of it being talked about, of it being brought out into the forefront to be more helpful to people. But like you said, Ty and Zabria, that it's only going to help you as much as you allow it to help you. If you don't want the help, or if you're scared to be that vulnerable, the church can only do but so much, just like a therapist can only do but so much. If you could go to therapy all you want, but if you don't open up to the therapist, they can only do but so much for you. Yep. You paid your fee and that's it, because you chose not to open up. So it definitely takes being courageous in that aspect in order to do it. And you need help to do that.
Absolutely. And I definitely agree with the comparison, where though you feel like you have to be like someone else. I think we have these unrealistic expectations that we place on ourselves, and we think that we have to be this way because this is what people are expecting. And a lot of times we forget that, especially in the church, that is about God, not about what we expect or people. And I think we kind of lose that, and then anxiety kicks in, and then it's like, okay, what if I mess up? What if I do this? What if I do that? Without even acknowledging, if you're doing it for God, and as long as He is pleased, that's all that matters. Right. And I think that's just something, because expectations had me running for a while, because it was nope, like I don't want to be in the forefront. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that, because when Moni get the mic, she this. So it's like every time I'm having these thoughts of, they're expecting this. What if is one of those messages where everybody hollering, or what if it's this? And like now it's playing on your mind, and now you losing what you're doing it for. Yeah. And it's like, it's kind of hard to silence those thoughts when partially part of you want that. You want people to know about it. You want that acknowledgement. You want that. So it's hard to silence that and be like, oh, this is about God. But a part of you like, what if you mess up? What if you do that? You do that. It's kind of battling yourself in that aspect. So I just think that with anxiety, like that had me going the other way. Like, nope, I'll be in the back, and then even that triggered depression, because now I'm not doing what God is calling me to do. So now I'm sad. Now I'm out of place. Now I feel like I'm letting God down, and now I'm adding on to what I'm already feeling: childhood trauma, this, that, and the third. And now I'm out of the will of God. So it's like, what do you do with those feelings, those aspects? And for me, the greatest thing that Elder Stacia told me was, Woni, all of that you have to silence and just do it afraid. Lose control, let go, because that's really what it's about, is control. You want control of this. You want to know this is going to happen, that's going to happen, this, that, and the third. You have to lose that and do it afraid, and trust that God's going to do the rest. If you study, if you do this, if you do the things that you're supposed to do, God will do the rest. And like, that's something that, I still have to tell myself from time to time, into that place where I was operating out of fear, and
sorry, y'all.
Nothing you said in them first, it was like,
listen, I'm used to it by now. We first moved in here, I felt like people was talking in our room, like it's so loud. Sorry.
So now we're gonna kind of trickle over to anxiety, and like how that can be crippling as well. So I'm going to start with Tiana this time, and then we'll move.
I feel like anxiety is very crippling. What? Okay. I'm sorry, my thing went down. But it's it's bad. Like I'm actually surprised with myself, and I told you guys backstage that like I didn't write anything down for this live, and that is not me. My process is I gotta fast, I gotta do this and the third. Like I gotta write stuff down, I gotta write out what I'm saying, read it, record it back, then listen to the recording, then say that over. Like is I feel like anxiety for me is it affects me outwardly, like how I interact with people, if I don't interact with people, what I let off, how much I let people in. Um, it is a battle, is a struggle for real, and I don't know, like I think it goes beyond what like beyond what I know. I think for me it's a family thing. Like I go around my family, everybody got anxiety, like everybody, and it comes out in different ways. So like I'll use this example. It was a event that we had as a family, and when I say like it was beautiful because we all came together to put it together, but on the outside looking in, it was a hot mess. Like it really was. And it was like everybody was just scrambled everywhere, running around. And like it was with my family. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm sorry. I truly felt embarrassed. I'm like, dang. Like you think, you get away from it and you're not around you're not around your family as much when you get older and when you become an adult and have a family of your own. And when I went back, it just made me realize like, dang, like this is really a thing. And it made me, not that I'm in any way, shape, or form better, but I know for my family, I'm a person that's looked at as like, oh, Ty got it, Ty good, Ty cool. So for me being in that position, I'm like, dang, I got work to do. I got work to do because I'm not, not trying to, we're believers, so it's like I feel like it's a spiritual thing. Like it's bigger than just what we can see, and I think is a generational thing. But yeah, it's something that I work on. Like I said, this is a for me a good thing. Me talking on here in front of I don't even know who's on here watching, but like even the process to me get here was different. So I'm like, God, whatever you're doing, I'm just gonna trust God. But yeah, it's something else I wanted to say, but you can come back to me because I lost it.
Okay, Bria.
I wasn't ready. I was just listening to Tiana and her experience. But for me, I struggle with social anxiety and separation anxiety. Like, y'all, it goes beyond just me being an ambivert, which is basically like I'm introvert, but I know how to be an extrovert. Mm-hmm. I literally, in social settings, sometimes just be like, oh my gosh, I want everybody to be quiet. Like, it's too much going on. Like, it throws me off. And then separation anxiety, like, if I'm close to you and you far away from me for a long period of time, or even for a minute, I'm kind of like, I'm not at ease. Cause I'm like, what's like something is missing. Like, why they going so long? Why they like, what's going on? And so those are two things that I, even now, currently still struggle with sometimes. But yeah, I'm really, really working on this social anxiety thing, y'all. Like me and people be surprised when I share this or when I talk about it, but looks can be deceiving. I would say that. Like, it's not always easy being around people consistently. And now it's like, okay, God, you didn't call me to people knowing that this is something that I struggle with. Like, why you gonna do me like this? Basically, that's how I'm in a lot of social and I just, what he's teaching me is, again, that comfortability. Like I used to be so comfortable. I'm the only child, so comfortable being by myself that when I got around people, it triggered my social anxiety because I wasn't used to having to be social with anybody. And so now it's kind of like, well, I'm calling you to be social. So you either talk to me. Like, people think that I'm hard. That's because God is hard on me. And I wouldn't want it any other way, because I would be in my room all the time. Like, I wouldn't be fulfilling my purpose if God wasn't hard on me, like how I am sometimes hard on others. And so I'm still working through that, y'all. Like, even now, like, I don't mind getting on lives talking, but like I said, I wasn't ready because I tuned out, honestly. Because I'm like, okay, a lot is happening. Like, there's so much good things that's being fed. It's like, I can't just focus on one person talk. I gotta focus on a bunch of people talking. And I did have to mentally prepare myself to get on here. So I know we was backstage, y'all like, Rhea, you do this all the time. You know, you gonna be straight, yada yada. I told y'all what I had to do. Don't share it publicly. But it takes mental processing to get on, and dialogue. Like, it takes a lot of mental processing for me to even go to some social settings. Sometimes even church. Like, I'd be like, all right, I know church gonna be good, but I know a whole lot of people gonna be there too.
Yeah.
I have to consistently mentally prepare myself to go out and fulfill purpose. So,
yep.
That's really, really good. I think we all have some level of social anxiety. And I think for me, is speaking anxiety, if that's one. Like, I can talk to y'all one-on-one, fine, I'm okay. But when I gotta stand before a bunch of people, it could be 5 and up. And I'm like, and all eyes are on me and they're waiting for me to speak, is like my heart is beating out my chest. So like, that's just, and it's crippling because now I'm super anxious. I'm shaking. I feel like I'm about to pass out. Like, it gets intense.
Yeah.
So very, 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 very crippling. And I feel like that was another part of me. Like, nope, I don't like feeling this way. I'm not doing it. I'm not preaching. I'm not doing this. I'm not talking. I want to be in the back. And God, like, no, you're called for this. You're called for this. And every time I get up to preach, God have his way. And I'm like, dang, like happy that God had his way, but it's like, it's more confirmation. So now you got all the elders in the corner, like, Lady Naya, Stacia, Elder Graham, like, it's time, pushing you out there. And I'm just like, no. So, but you know, God have a way of doing that. It'll be your biggest fear and he'll use it. So I definitely, you know, for me, is speaking anxiety. I'm like, in front of crowds, I'm like, no thanks. But, you know, somebody got to do it right.
Right.
And then we're going to go to Ems.
Anxiety. I struggle really hard with anxiety. If anybody knows me very, very closely, you know I have extreme social anxiety to the point that, like, I will clam up, I will shut down and not talk. And it almost comes off as if I don't want to be social, like I don't like people or anything like that. And it's not that. It's actually that, like, in my mind, I'm going through all the possibilities of everything that could possibly happen in a matter of a second, like while I'm standing there in front of people. And it's crazy because people are like, well, you sing on praise and worship and you're a teacher and you do all, and I do everything that I have anxiety to do. Every single thing that I am anxious about, I do it. Not by choice. This is just how it panned out. Like, I didn't just want to be this way. If I had my way, I would like just stay to myself, me and whoever I'm comfortable with. I would stay to myself, but it can be very, very crippling because then you don't meet new people. You're not exposing to new people. You're not exposing yourself to other people. And I feel like definitely, like, spiritual wise, I really had to recognize my social anxiety was stopping me from spreading the word, because I don't want to talk to people. Like, not because I don't want to tell you about how good God is, but because I'm nervous to even open my mouth to say hi to you. So let alone me come up to you and tell you anything about myself. Is like heart beating real fast. Like, what do I say? What do I even do? To the point that, you know, it's even coming down to, well, how much have you said to your own family? that's how big my social anxiety is. Like, it's not just with random people that I don't know, but it's even with family members and people who I'm blood relatives to, that I feel so much anxiety over that I can't even open up for them to know that there's a whole other side of me that you have never even seen. And that coming to that realization, like, what's your job? What are you supposed to be doing? Because at the end of the day, when God asks you, okay, what did you do on earth? Your social anxiety can't be an excuse.
Okay.
You know, it's like, so it's so it's like, you gotta kind of, like you said, do it scared. And I just started more and more trying to push myself to just be around people, say more. If it's even one thing, like say hi to somebody, just so I can start coming out of that. Because either way, you're uncomfortable. So like you said, like I saw Stacia said in the chat, like, choose your discomfort. Like, which one are you going to be more just uncomfortable with? Like, being to yourself and not opening up and not exposing yourself to other people and other things, or like causing some discomfort. But once you actually talk, once you actually get through it, now it's cool. Like, I feel like me and Zabria got cool because I was able to come out of that, because I know me and her the same way. Like, it's like, if I don't feel like talking, I'm not going to talk. It kind of is what it is. Like, but once we seen, like, oh snap, we could actually, we relate in ways. Like, okay, but it really took coming out of that to have one conversation, or just to say one thing to spark something else, and like you kind of start defeating it more and more. So it's definitely something that I'm learning how to deal with. I'm trying to defeat it myself and just overcome it day by day. But I struggle. Like, I have anxiety almost all the time. It's just a matter of, what am I telling myself? What am I feeding to myself to help myself to kind of get past that and not live in that anxiety to where I just do nothing. Like,
right. I think one of the things that I'm like getting is, anxiety usually happens, or like anxious moments happens when we don't feel safe. And so for me, I also had to realize, okay, what is it about this social setting that is not making me feel safe, but it's a safe environment? And so it goes back to, I think Mo said it earlier, or it might have been Todd, where basically we thinking about things that's not our reality. Like, nothing around us screams danger. So why do we feel
it was me?
It's not be okay. You know what I'm saying? And the family said,
I ain't trying to.
like, y'all, my family pretty much know I'm quiet, but sometimes I'm quiet because of that social anxiety, and there's sometimes where I'm just a quiet person. And so it's that, like, they know me, but did they know that I was struggling with social anxiety? And truthfully, they didn't, probably up until right now. So it just comes with, like we've all been saying, is getting out of our comfort zones to actually be who God has called us to be.
Yeah. And I think also, a lot of times people can't recognize what we're going through. I know for me, is because I was used to putting up a wall, which is also known as a facade, that I was good, that I was okay, that I was this, that I was that I'm happy, I'm telling jokes, I'm this, I'm that. So people didn't really know, unless I put up a post or something, that Moni was sad, Moni was going through this, Moni was going through that. And unless you were super, super close, like in my house, you wouldn't really know. And I think that facade is a killer, because it teaches you to be fake. It teaches you to lie, because you're not okay, you're not good, you're not doing fine, when really you're sad, when really you don't have the same zeal you had for life, when really you don't really want to get up out of bed, when really you really don't want to talk to nobody, you just want to be alone, you just want to lay in those feelings that you have. And unless it's absolutely necessary, for me, it was a lot of times, like years ago, it was a lot of times where if it was only absolutely necessary, I was doing it. But if it wasn't, I wasn't. There was a time where I used to come home from work and just go straight to my room and shut the door and didn't have time for nobody. And it wasn't because it was a choice. It was because I didn't feel up to it. It was a time for me where it was hard for me to get up out of bed. Like, I didn't even have the will to move. And it was a fight to even do that. And I think for me, this facade killed me, because it was like, on the outside, when I'm around people, I'm not telling people, oh, I'm sad, or I'm hurting, or I'm this, or I'm that. I'm just putting up this wall. And it became to the point where I was desensitized to my feelings. I no longer cared about anything. I just was numb going through life and really, really unhappy. And like I said, I was blaming God. Like, God, you see this, you did this and that, third. And he's sending help, but I'm refusing it. And I remember clearly where God told me, stop asking me to revive you when you're the one holding your breath. You're the one killing you. You're the one causing death. I revived you multiple times and you went back to the grave. So it's like that the expectation that stuff is going to change when I'm going back to a place where he delivered me from is insanity. And that's what I was going. I was going insane. Expecting change and not doing no work. So I think I don't even know why I went there. But
that was good though. Like,
you know, I felt like God led me to speak on this, is to tell people, because a lot of times, like I said, we feel alone and we feel like it's just us. And if you read the chat, it's so many people. That's me. This is what I'm going through. This is happening to me. This is what I thought. This is this, that, third. So it just goes to show that we all are going through this. Like, you're not alone. There's many people that you can talk to, that you can, you know, lean on, that can pour into you, that overcame what you're going through. And I think the devil plays on us, especially who feel like they're strong, that's not used to talking, which was me. Is like, oh, are you alone? You by yourself. And I know you're not going to go get help, so you're going to keep feeling alone. You're going to keep feeling by yourself. You're not going to listen to God. You're not going to do the things. You're not going to do the work that you're supposed to do. And it kept me in a place where I was dying, where I wasn't suicidal, but if I died, I'm cool, because I'm tired of feeling this, which was crazy. So for me, a trigger for me would be when I go to my room and I've been there too long. I make myself get up, because it reminds me of when I was stuck there. And I'm not going back to that. Like, I can't go back to that. So I force myself to move out of those situations, because I'm not living in that no more. God took me from that, and I'm going to stay free. And that's just not.
Jeez. Okay. So that was good though. Like,
yeah, it was good. Yeah.
So,
hey. Now you try to think of what to say after. Like,
I had a comment to piggyback off the social anxiety, but I don't even know I should go back there. After that, like,
no.
Okay.
I think touched on overcoming strategies, or, you know, like the last thing that she said was, if she feels herself in a room too long, she forced herself to get up, which means there's some, well, you have to share that. Like, what is that thing that tells you got to get up?
It's not really a thing, but if I feel like I'm being unproductive, or I feel like I just laid here for too long, it reminds me of when I laid there and couldn't move. And now that I have the ability to move, I'm moving out of that. So it's just when I feel like I'm not doing anything with my life, when I feel like I'm just laying here and I'm kind of like, those emotions that used to overtake me are now creeping up. I'm like, oh, let me get up. Let me start moving. I'll force myself to come out of that and, you know, be involved and be around and come downstairs and whatever it is, just to get out of that. Because if I stay there too long, it could take me back. Even though I'm not feeling what I used to feel, even though I'm not doing all that. But if I lay in a place where I used to be, and those emotions that I used to feel creep back in, I could easily go back. I would be foolish to think that I couldn't. So it's like, I'm not even going to allow that doorway. So I'm getting up. I can't. It's too much of a reminder. So that's just pretty much what I.
And I know for me with anxiety, like, I force myself to just stay. So even if I don't want to be there, I will stay, because it's like, it's not that I don't want to be there, but what I'm struggling with is telling me that I shouldn't be there. And so I have to force myself. It's okay to be in a room and be quiet, but the fact that I'm in the room is me overcoming the social anxiety.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. It's definitely a process for me. Like, it's little stuff. Do you want to go over to your friend's house to chill? No. Like, no, I don't want to go. Like you said, I think Amber, somebody mentioned earlier about going to church. Like, it's certain days where, like, every Sunday I get this knot in my stomach, and it's like, what? Come on, man. I don't got time to turn back around and go to the house. I'm gonna be late. Like, I gotta go. Like, I don't. And I think that it's so to the point where sometimes it can come off as something. I think you said it, Amber, come off as something else. But sometimes I'm so anxious that I'm okay with being misinterpreted because I'm not about to open up. So I'll feel more comfortable that for you misjudging me than me to say like, hey, no, that's not what it is. Like, it's actually this. Like, I just in the show. Like, it is like it's so bad to the point where sometimes I'll get anxious talking to like my friends, like on the phone at times. Like, it like it's really, really bad. Like, it's so bad. Like, I feel like sometimes anxiety forces or allows me to be selfish because I'm so stuck in my mind. So like, I'm so anxious, like, hey, I gotta get done what I need to get done. I gotta make sure this is right. And I think Moni mentioned it about being in control. So, or I gotta make sure this is lined up, this is lined up, this line up, this, and I'm not realizing how it's affecting the outside people.
Yeah. I think for me, since we're talking about like dealing with triggers, and this is something actually that I'm recognizing now, like lately, is that my anxiety has caused my procrastination. So because I was so anxious about stuff, I started putting stuff off. And the longer you keep doing that, and the more you keep doing that, it now becomes a habit. So now breaking procrastination is very, very hard because I'm so used to putting stuff off when I was in that state. So, kind of recognizing, okay, when I'm starting to procrastinate, like, no, do it now. Why are you not doing it now? Why are you not doing it right now? Because if you don't do it now and you wait till later, right? Now you're going to be even more anxious about it because now you're trying to rush to do it. When right now you have absolutely nothing to do. You could do this right now at this moment. But like, I'm really realizing that because it's gotten so bad and I'm like, why am I this way? When did I get to the point where I just don't get anything done when it needs to get done? And it really stems from the anxiety that I had and not wanting to do certain things. And it's become so much of my nature now that now I'm just comfortable with doing it later. And it's just it's not okay. Like, that is stagnation too. Like, procrastinating, doing it later, not doing it right now. So many things, or how far I could have been if I hadn't have been stuck in that for so long. I won't know. I can only move forward now. But I think for somebody, if you're wondering why you're procrastinating a lot, kind of look at that. Is it because you've been anxious over things for so long? Because anxiety will stop you from doing something. Because I saw in the chat, somebody was like, anxiety will have you feeling like, is it even worth it? It's not worth doing. I'm not going to do it. I don't want to feel that. So because you don't want to feel that and think about that, you just don't. And then that habit just becomes nature. And now it's just something that you do, to the point that you look back and it's just like, okay, why am I even here again? Feeling frustrated again when this is something that I could have done and could have handled before. So, and that is something that I'm battling and dealing with right now. But, like you said, we can overcome it. You got to fight it. You got to stand up and just keep doing it. But I think the first thing is just recognizing where it's coming from. If you could pin that, then you could start to actually deal with it and overcome that.
Amen. Like, I agree with everything you just said.
Yep.
Yeah, and I will also add, I think a lot of times we like to test just how anxious we can really get at times. Because when we procrastinate and wait till the last minute, kind of like, and I have done this, I will know that something is due at 11:59. Why am I waiting till 11 o'clock to start something that's due at 11:59? And once I realized that I was literally trying to test to see just how much I can get done in an anxious moment, I realized that it was unhealthy. Because now what I'm doing is I'm triggering my own self. And I think a lot of when we procrastinate, we're triggering our own selves right in our anxious moments.
Yep.
Do you think that because we're so used to being anxious or, anxiety and all that we become addicted to that feeling?
Absolutely. I think
for
that
sure.
that's possible. It's just
Sure.
like, being addicted to their triggers. It's like, I've been living with this so long, now I'm addicted to it. So because that addiction makes me feel good and it lets me know that I'm actually capable of handling this addiction or handling trigger,
Yes.
I don't want to let it go.
Mm.
So it goes to
Yeah.
ability.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, uncomfortable, or we comfortable with our triggers and the things that makes us anxious, to where we just want it to stay because that's the only way we know how to be.
Wow.
Mm. That's crazy. That made me think
Yeah.
about being in school and you I was one of those people that didn't have to study for a test. Like once I reread the information, I was good. So I kind of got used to that. And I felt like that kind of made me lazy in the aspect of doing the work.
Yeah.
Because now, because you don't have to study and you don't have to do all this, now when stuff comes that you do have to study, you're procrastinating because you're not used to having to do that.
Right.
So now you mad that you gotta actually put in the work because you so used to just it coming to you like that.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah. So
Yeah. No, I agree. I feel like it also gives us an excuse. So like when you do something and you did it at the last minute and it works well, you like, and I did it at the last minute. Look at me, like, wow. And if it goes the other way, like, I mean, well, I did it at the last minute, so it is what it is. Like,
Yeah.
I think that makes us like comfortable. But it's not a good way to function at all. Because like Amber said earlier, it's like you anxious to start it, but now you don't wait until the last minute and you're resting on your anxiety to push you through when that's not a healthy way to work at
Wow.
all.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should never take you have no choice but to do it. Or like you going to fail or whatever it is. Like meet the deadline. That you like, oh, come on.
That like really like now you got everything is flowing like your mom about to come home. You supposed to been clean the room. Now you trying to do the 10-second tidy like trying to get stuff together like
Yeah, no. But this conversation was really good, ladies. A lot of the people in the chat are saying they have been blessed by what we were able to, just converse and talk about and be real about it. I feel like the conversation definitely needs to be real. And I thank you all for being vulnerable and sharing your stories and testimonies, because there's a lot of people that relate to what we were sharing. So I'm grateful that we were able to help people on the live. So I do want to give Bria a chance to, give us some tips on ways to, deal with depression and anxiety. She knew though. She shared like, yeah, I'm gonna be giving tips earlier. But yeah.
One, I would say it's okay to set boundaries. A lot of times when we don't have boundaries, it triggers all of these other mental health dilemmas. And that's really what they are. I like to say, well, I'm trying and learning not to say things have me or I'm, so-and-so with this, but rather it's a dilemma that I can overcome. And so set boundaries, change your language surrounding these these things. Not won't say last, but what I say, set boundaries, change your language. The third one is what I would say is reach out, like use your resources. If there is somebody who you can talk to that person. As we heard today, like we are not by ourselves. And last, I always like to give people not just practical tools, but spiritual tools. Pray and read your word. And prayer is literally a simple conversation. It does not have to be anything deep and us. It is literally just a simple conversation with God to where you can tell him, hey, God, I'm starting to get a little of this. So I'm going to need you to kind of rest on me so that I can rest too. So those are the 4 things that I have. Set boundaries. If you feel yourself getting overwhelmed to where it may cause you to go into stages of depression or anxious moments, you got to step away. Change your language surrounding this. Talk to somebody, utilize your resources, and last, pray and read your word.
That's good.
I'm going to give the other two ladies just something if they want to end off with anything.
I feel like the steps that Sabria gave is real good, and definitely something that I'm going to start putting in practice too. Just making sure that the language and the way I speak about it, that I speak in it in a way that I'm overcoming it already, and not that it has overcome me. So I think that that's really important, and I like that. But just talking about it is something that I would say is just helpful in general. When you're not cool, it's okay to say that you're not cool, and to not worry about whether or not somebody's going to judge you, because today I'm not cool and tomorrow I am. That's okay, because that's what emotions are. That's what they do. They go up and down. That's why we don't trust in our emotions. We trust in God. So it's okay for you to be emotional and to allow those things to come about and to talk to people about those things, because that's what shuts us down too, is the fact that we think we got to always hold up to that facade when we really don't. So it's okay for Monday for you to be sad, Tuesday for you to be happy, and Wednesday you sad again. But talk about it, and don't let, whether you talking about it to a person or you praying like Zabria said, but talk about it to where you're not just holding all of that stuff in, because it's normal. It's normal to get like that. It's normal to be up and down sometimes. Like, it just is.
Amen.
Amen. Amen.
We waiting on you.
Look, y'all did great. Y'all said it all. Like, you're not alone. Talk about it, and that's really it. Like, I think y'all said everything.
And then I saw that Pastor says sow a seed. We were definitely not planning on sowing a seed. Well, for people to give, I think the best seed that can be sown is if you know you need help, if you know you need counseling, if you know you need, someone to talk to, sow that seed into that. Invest in yourself to get some help, to talk to somebody, and to free yourself from bondage and feeling that you're alone, because as you found out tonight, you're not. And that's the best thing you can do for yourself. So the seed would be for you to put it into what is it called? It's not healthcare, self-care. Put it into that and take care of your mind. Go get help in that. I think we all would agree with that. I don't think anybody else, like, my Cash App is.
Oh yeah, no.
But we definitely appreciate you all getting on. If I leave anything with you guys, it would be just to know yourself and be willing to be transparent with yourself, and come out of the mindset of repetition and being comfortable in mess. Like, this is the season for you to be free of whatever's holding you bound. And I think this is the season also for you to lean on God and gain some type of hope. And I think for me, I'm just going to share this last part and then be done. Make sure when you're leaning on God, you're not just leaning on Him when you feel like it's convenient to you. And then in other moments, you leaning on your own self. And then when it don't go right, you blame Him for it all. And it's like, I told you not to lean to your understanding, and you did, and now you blaming me for you leaning to your own understanding. So it's like, don't let your actions contradict God's word in this season. So I'm going to encourage you to fully trust God and get help if you need it. If you want to reach out to any of us or reach out to our church, we have plenty of useful people. We are all members of Bethel Highway Church of Christ under the great leadership of Overseer Brian Keith Knight and his beautiful wife, Lady Angela Knight. And we have great elders and people that are trustworthy where you can, get some help if you need it. So the last thing we'll do is each of them will tell you how you can reach them, and then we'll log off. So Amber can go first.
I can be reached. All right. I can be reached on as Always Am on Instagram and Amber Lawrence on Facebook. So that's how you can reach me if you like to reach out. Just want to, talk, pray for you. Just reach out to me and I'm cool with that for sure.
Okay. You can reach me at, am I on? You can reach me at Tiana Shar Reynolds on Facebook and _KAJMOM on Instagram. We also have a page, CCUP for Christ is a nonprofit organization, community cleanup, my husband and I. Yeah. And if you want to talk, pray, whatever, I'm here.
All right, Bravery.
I'm sorry, y'all. Y'all husbands are crazy. But I can be reached right here on Facebook, Zabria M. Knight, Instagram at @the.ladywarrior, and you can reach me on my website. I do mental healing coaching at theladywarrior.org.
All right. And then y'all can reach me on this page, Moni Love, and then the same name is on Instagram. Thank you guys for joining us. We really appreciate you guys' participation in the chat and everybody saying part two. So we'll pray about it, and if the Lord leads us, we'll be back. Thank you guys again. Bye.